Hello guys, DevOps interview questions. How do you check running containers in Docker with the command docker ps? It shows container ID, image name, status, ports to see all containers including stock docker ps-a command. How do you build a Docker image? Command can be docker build -t my app colon 1.0 dot is important. Explanation -t for tag name, dot for current directory, Docker file location. Real use build applications image before deployment. How do you run a container? Docker run -d for detach -p for port 8080 colon 80 my app colon 1.0. Docker run -d -p 8080 colon 80 my app colon 1.0. -d for detach mode -p port mapping. Result app accessible at localhost colon 8080. How do we check logs of a container? Docker logs container ID. Debug applications errors. How do we enter a running container? Docker exec -it container ID /bin /bash -it for interactive. Use for debugging, checking files, configurations. How do you push image to Docker Hub? Docker login, Docker tag my app colon 1.0 username / my app colon 1.0. Then push that image Docker push username / my app colon 1.0. Its real use store image for deployment. How do you check Kubernetes pods? kubectl get pods. It shows pod name, status, restarts. How do you describe a pod? kubectl describe pod name. It shows events, errors, resource usage. How do you check logs in a Kubernetes? kubectl logs pod name for multi-container pod. kubectl logs pod name -c container name. How do you access a pod shell? kubectl exec-it pod name /bin/bash used for debugging inside a container. How do you scale deployment in Kubernetes? kubectl scale deployment my app replicas equal to 5. Result will be run 5 pods. How do you apply a YAML file? kubectl apply -f deployment.yaml used for creating or updating resources. How do you delete a resource in Kubernetes? kubectl delete -f deployment.yaml. How do you check services in Kubernetes? kubectl get svc shows cluster IP, external IP, ports. How do you check node details? kubectl get nodes, kubectl describe node name. How do you clone a repository in Git? Git clone and repo URL. Git clone repo URL. How do you create a branch? Git checkout -b feature branch. How do you push code in Git? Git add dot git commit -m message. Git push origin branch name. How do you check running processes in Linux? ps-ef top. Real use identify CPU memory uses. How do you check disk usage? df-h du-sh star helps in debugging disk full issues. Thank you.